We need F1, right? As much as F1 also needs us because every manufacturer.
Will F1 ever come back to India?
Ask me this question in 2 years from now. The crab mentality story in Indian motorsport is far too strong.
Okay, so let's talk about some friendships in motorsport, Vicky.
What's that? Do they exist?
Hello everyone, welcome to Talk Room by Tonic. Today we have with us Mr. Vicky Chandhok. For those of you who are in the sport, he needs no introduction. But for the others who are watching him for the first time, you will get to know him much better as we go through. Hi Vicky.
Hi BK, and this is a first for me, and I understand it's a first for you. So it's great to have get involved in this next gen of communication called podcast, and it's my real pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. In fact, that's what I feel too. It's good to know that you are there for the first time too. So, shall we?
I think we should.
Your initial first impressions about the sport?
Well, I think my first impressions came in. We used to run a commercial workshop and a commercial garage, okay, from 1962, 1963 onwards on Main Mount Road. And my first exposure came in when I used to see people racing down Mount Road from an old fuel station called Rumeda's.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like the Raja of Vijayanagaram, Raja of Pitapuram. It was a Maharaja-oriented sport. They had the exotic cars. And a gentleman called Genji Verghese, a few others like that, used to meet at Rumeda's and race towards the harbour, which was Parry and Company and Dare House. Race to that spot and come racing back. So that was my first memory of it, because Rumeda's used to be a fuel station we had. And then my dad was racing what's called the SEAC Special. The way that car was made, it was built on a Jaguar 1936 or a 1935 chassis. It was called the SEAC Special because South India Automotive Corporation, built by a gentleman called Babu Mathan, who built the car himself, and then his family didn't want him to race. My dad became the driver. And that car used to be parked around our office. And we were retailing and wholesaling a motor parts business next to what in those days was the tallest building in Madras, called the Life Insurance Building, the LIC building.
Okay.
Next to that, there was which is now a heritage property, called Bharat Buildings. So we had a machine shop at the back, and the car used to be parked there. And that's my first, let's say, vivid or proper recollection of the sport is seeing these cars, seeing some rally cars, which used to be Standard 10s, Triumph Mayflower, cars like that. So I think probably if I take it back, these were certainly my first memories. The SEAC Special raced at Scholavaram. It raced in Bangalore at the Air Force Base. It raced in Coimbatore at Sulur, raced in Pune, raced in Calcutta as well. So I think my first memories of the sport are probably, I'm glad it's going down in history, because very few people will ever remember these days.
Yeah.
Okay, to see all these specials, to see the Maharaja of Gondal's car in those days. He was racing the Mercedes 300 SL with the gull-wing doors and things like that. So it goes back a long time, from the Maharajas to then some privateers, and then to some formal racing in Scholavaram, where they used to put cones, okay, and form chicanes. It was an unused airstrip that was built for the World War, and subsequently it was never used as an airstrip. It was an emergency one for any invasion. The Air Force then handed it over to the Army, who used to test the old Vijayantha tanks, okay, the actual tanks that used to be fought in battle. So anytime we went to do any testing or even to look at Scholavaram place, the concrete would be broken up, and the Vijayantha tanks would be just, they were actual active tanks. Then the Army decided that, okay, let's now share this with the Navy. How on earth would an inland Navy airstrip work for the Navy? God alone knows, okay? But such was the case. I guess the Navy wanted to use it for the INS Vikrant. They wanted to use it for their naval aircraft for training purposes and things like that. It never happened.
Mm-hmm.
It stayed as a concrete base, and we had a lot of synergy in those days between Jakur, Sulur, and Scholavaram. So my memories go back there. Which is the other airstrip, became?
You're talking about Bombay?
No, Bangalore.
Bangalore?
Yeah, not Jakur, the other one.
The Kolar. Kolar
yeah,
Classics.
the Kolar one, okay. So these were the tracks, and these were my memories of the early days. And going to Scholavaram was probably a highlight. Like you had the McDowell Derby, for example, which
Mhm.
became synonymous with horse racing. The Scholavaram event, which I think was the premier, not I think, it was the
It
premier
was.
event of the country. And everyone around the country would reserve the first and second weekends of February to be seen there. It was also a social event, okay? You had to be seen. If you were somebody, you had to be seen at Scholavaram.
Mm.
And we had casuarina or bamboo stands. We had 80 timekeepers sitting with 160 watches, because you never know which timekeeper was right. And sitting up, again, precariously perched on bamboo stands and things like that. We had lap recorders sitting on the floor. We had hay bales as barriers. We had rubber bladders as partitions between oncoming traffic and things like that. And in today's world, you think about it, I mean, it was dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
Okay, but these are the first memories that I had of motorsport in India. And I was never a fan of international motorsport. Okay,
Mhm.
I've never been a follower till my son started getting into it, and until I started traveling myself. And I was really enamored by the sport in India,
Mhm.
and it was something I myself always wanted to do, and which I think I did reasonably well as well. So, well, that's in a nutshell. I could go on for a couple of hours,
Yeah.
okay, but in a nutshell, I think the first memories must go back in this country's history. The first formal race was in 1953, but racing started from 1950. All right, it started from 1950. You had the Citroens, you had the Packard, you had the Studebakers, the Jaguars, the Mercedes. These were the variety of cars we had. So I would take it back to that.
So from watching into getting on to the track, what was that journey about? Starting to drive or starting to participate?
I was lucky that I didn't feel the cost pinch as much as anyone else would. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to be perfectly honest. Due to the fact we were running a commercial workshop, we had 74 mechanics on call.
Wow.
We had tinkers, we had painters. I had access to a staff strength of 130 people. Right, so the transition from being an enthusiast to actually getting involved with the sport seemed natural, more than a passion or more than a desire.
Mhm.
the facility existed. My dad used to race. My dad founded the Federation of Motorsports Clubs of India and was a founder member of the Madras Motorsports Club. Okay, the federation was formed in 1973. But having said that, we were involved in building rally cars, all for myself. Okay, my dad's rallying days used to be rallying TST rallies. Okay, which are now called, I think, more than anything else, they're called rallying endurance or speed trials or time trials. So, because of that access, but I had to convince my mechanics and my foreman and everyone else that I was given strict orders that any work non-commercial could happen only after 6 p.m. So from building engines, from building chassis, to the concept car that came out in 1975 called the Formula Indian, which was built with a Herald engine. It was, the regulations were so made so that you could use it as a road sports car. And when you're just getting into college or when you're in college, I mean, that thing of, let me have a sports car that I can drive around on the street, get to the drive-in restaurant in the evening and kind of put your collar up and driving around town was also a part of growing up. But unfortunately, I think the car stayed as a racing car. I used it on the street quite a bit, the Formula India, but it was originally designed to also be registered as a sports car. So the rules and regulations were drafted and written by the late Percy Gyara, who worked all his career with Tata Motors, and my dad. So they designed something that you could take to the street when you want as a sports car. You can take to the racetrack when you race it. But it was never meant to be. My chassis, for example, was the first of two chassis made by the late Adi Malgam. He built two Formula India chassis initially. One was raced by Suresh Nayak, and one was raced by me. So he made these space frame chassis in his flat in Bombay. And once he made the chassis and sent the chassis down to me, but when he built the complete car, he didn't know how to get it out of his apartment. He forgot that he lives in an apartment, so he had to break the windows and the door to get the cars out, ship it to Madras. So we built the rest of the car. So that was my first foray into formal racing in '75. The car was inaugurated and launched at the Raj Bhavan by Governor K.K. Shah.
Okay.
In '75. But prior to that, I did start by racing an ambassador in 1972. So raced at Scholavaram. I was 15 years old, and my mother raced as well the same year. So that was my first event into motorsport.
And I mean, you've been talking about your mother racing, the legacy, the family legacy. I've heard that even your grandfather was initially into the sport, and then, then dad took over, and then you, and now your kids.
Well, let's put it. I think it's for no other reason. I think for the right reasons, they are called the first family of motorsport. Okay, the Chandhoks have been the first family of motorsport. My granddad totally supported the sport, though was never active in it himself, and encouraged my dad. We started the motorsports club at the back of our office building, and we even started the federation later on out of our office.
Yeah.
So it seemed natural for me to take that pathway. My brother did co-drive with me for one of the Scissors Action rallies, which we won, and then moved to the US. Luckily enough that there was only one person in the family who was spending money on motorsport. As you know, there's no returns. No returns. You keep spending, but enjoying it. It also had, I think, a benefit to our business, because we were just thinking back. I never looked at it from this angle, but talking to you today, I also think it benefited us as a family business. We were into auto parts, we were into commercial workshop, we were manufacturing engine bearings, things like that. I think it had a spiraling effect to increase the brand awareness. So if I look back, I would say that I think I could also call it an investment.
Well, that's quite early in the sport, I must say, because today they're looking at it as an investment, and you're coming to the track and then you're racing, and that brand is building. Wow, that's pretty much early in
Sometimes
thinking.
Sometimes people say that you're lucky to have been born with a silver spoon in your mouth. I think I'm one of those lucky few. Let me put it that way.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So our next part, what we call as the journey, what made you choose that particular discipline? I think you went into racing first, right?
I did racing and rallying the same year, to be
You did-
honest.
you did
Okay,
the same
and
year.
1972 was my first rally and my first race.
Which were they?
Okay, the South India Rally. Okay, was my first rally. It was a 4-man team that did 3,800 kilometers. We ran through all the 4 southern states. The rally used to start from Bangalore, Coimbatore, and Chennai, Madras. We used to meet in Trichy and then run out. So it was a 4-man team. I remember my dad was one of the team members. I even remember the car number, TMA 1852. There are pictures of it on my
I think I've
Facebook.
seen those pictures, yes.
So Gopal Madhavan was the second driver. Flakes from I think he's retired from MRF now. Flakes was a financial controller in MRF, and myself. It was a 4-man team, which pouring rain. That was my first rally. But yes, the races came first in the February of 1972, and the rally came later in August or September.
So no hard guesses. It must have been the Scholavaram, right?
It was a Scholavaram, 100%.
Okay. All right. So your first impressions of racing and rallying, maybe your first event. I mean, what was the feeling before, during?
Okay. I kind of vividly remember this now suddenly, okay. Rallying was like an adventure.
Yeah.
Okay. Rallying was like you're going to a game park, or you're going somewhere out, or literally on a trek or an adventure with no sense of real time and
Wild adventure.
Just wild adventure. That's the right word. Okay, and pouring monsoon in Kerala, and barriers that you couldn't see. Gopal uncle, in fact, went and hit one in that near Tellicherry. That's the place. But totally different sense of achievement. All right, on the racetrack and in rallying. Rallying, you had the fear. You had constant fear that you'd go off the road, or you'd skid off, or you'd roll, or you'd crash it, and in the middle of nowhere. So you had this constant adrenaline, nervous adrenaline pumping in, in rallying. It was, I think it's a feeling that I had even when I rallied 4 years ago or 3 years ago at the invitation of Volkswagen, okay, after a hiatus of about 19 years. But in racing, you could predict, okay, you could predict. You had standard braking points, you had standard turning points, you had competition. Yes, in rallying, you were running one at a time. Okay, but in racing, the tension was completely different. You were trying to avoid collisions. You were trying not to crash into people. You were trying to come in and say, look, sorry to the guy you blocked, or sorry to the guy you hit. But the biggest excitement in racing comes when the lights turn green. That start line pumping of the heart, when you're going from red to green. In those days, we were using flags. So when the flag went down for the start of the race, I think the heart rate would pump up to something like 140, 170 or something like that. So the first lap was always important. Okay, and then We used to have 50 lap races in those days.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, though I made a foray into both, I think I got equal pleasure or equal satisfaction, or I love both. I love both. I can't. If you ask me, was rallying better than racing or vice versa? I don't have the answer for that because I really enjoyed both.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoyed rallying. I did the first Himalayan, did various other events, and there's no way I can draw a line. It's like literally oranges and tomatoes. That much of a difference. So,
Okay, the Scholavaram journey.
oh yeah, okay. The Scholavaram journey started in '72 with the ambassadors. The first race, P. Vijay Kumar from Coimbatore. He had a stick shift ambassador, which is unheard of even today. I don't think even people today will remember it because we all know of an ambassador having the handbrake on the right hand side and the hand gear here. P. Vijay Kumar of Coimbatore built a stick shift where the handbrake lever was. All right, so he won both the races. I came third with Kamlesh coming second. Kamlesh Patel was also his first year in 1972. The second race, we reversed roles. And, he came second and I came third, and we kind of kept switching. So we then decided, okay, now we've done this. Okay, we've raced saloon cars. What next? Then came along this Formula India regulations built on Herald engines. 948cc, space frame. When I say space frame, for viewers that don't understand the sport, it's a chassis made with tubes, okay, which you put together, and it looks just like a frame. And onto the frame, you bolt components. You bolt your suspension, and off the suspension come the wheels. You have a frame to mount your engine and gearbox. Then you build a body around it. So that's what we call a space frame. It's basically a tubular structure, and everything comes off it. Everything comes off it to make a complete car. So we built that in 1975, and we actively raced that for a number of years, successfully and very unsuccessfully as well. So we raced it for 2 or 3 years initially, and then Nazir Hussain and Chubi Lalwani decided to build their cars in Bombay. And Adi Malgam went on to progress to build what is called the Daddy Special, or the Black Beauty, which was raced by Daraz Batena. The cars built by Nazir and Chubi were raced by Kamlesh and Homi Commissariat, father of Farooq Commissariat. Okay. So Homi and Kamlesh raced those two cars initially. Then the cars were also built for Ravi Gupta. Okay, it was built out of Bangalore. In fact, it was called the McDowell Special. With that time, the transition had happened from Herald to Fiat engines. Yeah. And a guy called Pradeep Nair. Okay, Pradeep Nair, whose brother Raj Nair lives in Australia. Pradeep has set up an off-roading track somewhere near Pune.
Hyderabad, Pune.
Somewhere on the Bombay-Pune highway.
Correct. It's near the Pune.
Yeah, so somewhere there. So these two guys were driving those two space frames. By then, my car was outdated. So 75, 76, 77, we had great success, or reasonable success. 77 onwards, we got badly beaten, all right, because the cars got newer, they got lighter. Our cars were 150 kilos too heavy. And engineering-wise and strength of building the cars and knowledge-wise, Nazir and Chubi were far superior to anyone else, as well as Adi Malgam was also very strong. So that we started then tasting the rotten end of the stick, where you start saying, oh no, you want to just get home or curl up or whatever. But it was still fun. I mean, it was fun because the whole family was involved in the sport. So even if we were not driving, or we were not successful at winning or whatever, it was still a great festival to be at Scholavaram. And, BK, I'm kid me not, I'm telling you, they used to make heroes at Scholavaram.
Yeah.
It was like movie stars. Okay, you'd be walking around, you had 70,000 people in the grandstands. And you'd be known as a racing driver. You don't get that today.
Yeah.
You don't get that today in India. But it also became a place for you to be known. So then I said, all right, what do we do next? Went to MRF. Ravi Maman was a very, very good friend. Personal friend of my wife and me, Meera and Ravi, we used to socialize together. So I said, Ravi, and MRF was one of the sponsors of the MMS events. I said, let's bring down a car from the UK. Right? So he said, are you crazy? I said, no, let's do something. And I said, why can't MRF enter the motorsport as a corporate? So I got married in 1982. So in August 82. So earlier, say January or February of 81, I first made a trip to England, came back. Then beginning of 82, I went to the Brands Hatcher driving school, where I had the privilege of being trained by Desiree Wilson, the only Formula One driver, woman driver in those times. Okay, to have won a race.
Wow.
Okay, in the UK. Yes, it was a classic, but still, she still carries that mark. So Desiree, she was my trainer. She trained me for 3 weeks, driving racing cars and things like that. And I ended up buying what's called a Image Formula Ford, which was similar to the Van Diemen in the old days. But the Formula Ford was very special and very successful in the UK. Even today, okay, the Formula Ford is the basic starting ground of single-seater racing. So I went to Goodwood. Friends of mine, I developed friends of mine. The guy called Alan Langridge. In fact, we had a 50th year reunion of Image race cars last year, which I went for, and at Goodwood. But so Alan said, all right, let me put together a car for you. So Alan flew the car down, and I had two very good engineers, Martin Stone and Patrick Roberts, who said, okay, we'll come down. We brought the Formula Ford down, and Ravi said, I'm going to give you 25,000 rupees. I said, well, that's not even one-way air freight for the car. I flew the car in. He said, that's all we are going to afford. That's it. So with 25,000 rupees, that check I'll never forget, the car was branded. It's on my Facebook page. You'll see the MRF total on both sides of the car. It got heavy branding on it. And Ravi said, that's it. Okay, don't drag us further. I said, all right. It was their first entry into motorsport. Okay, or into any sport. It wasn't just motorsport. Then we did well. Malya brought down his Formula One. Okay.
That was probably the first Formula One in the country?
Ever to be driven in India. Okay. And it was the MNO 8 Ensign. Hats off to Vijay for whatever said and done. Never sat in it before. They brought the car to India. I'm just giving you all these up because this is also strongly related to Scholavaram. They couldn't test it because it was under army care. So Vijay had a distributor and a brewery and a distillery or whatever it is in Warangal, in Andhra.
Okay.
So the car was taken to Warangal for him to test before bringing it to Scholavaram. So he got used to the car there for whatever little time he could. So we raced against each other. That was fine. And no regrets. The Formula Ford was my stepping stone. In 82, I got married, and then my wife and I were off on our honeymoon to Europe. We were in Switzerland. We flew to England, and then one morning I just told her, I said, I'll be back in the evening. We were in London. She said, where are you off to? I said, I'm going to Knock Hill.
So we've got our audio back.
Yeah,
Let's
I
start
think
from the honeymoon part.
I think they probably thought we were speaking too much, but anyway. Yeah, so I got married on Independence Day. People might still joke about it, on the 15th of August, 1982. And during our honeymoon, I decided to, let's say, not only surprise my wife, but the motorsport community. And I flew up to Knockhill and saw this stunning Formula 2 Chevron B42 car, which was an ex-ICI car, driven by Elio De Angelis, and immaculate. The guy who owned it was a very proper Scottish gentleman by the name of Bill Lord. So he came in. I flew up there with Alan Langridge in my jeans. I was wearing Keds. Got there, I said, nice car. And I said, can someone drive it around Knockhill to take a look at it? He said, yeah, you've got to drive it. I said, I've never driven something like this in my life. I mean, you're talking about 330 horsepower, a car that's blindingly quick, and I mean, just the sheer look of the car itself was
Intimidating.
very intimidating. Okay, and then I told Alan Langridge, who had sold me the Image Formula Ford in the old days. I said, Alan, you jump in and drive it. He says, oh, no, I'm not going to wet my pants. So I said, okay. I said, Bill, what do you want me to do? I haven't got driving shoes. I haven't got anything, and honestly, I don't even know how to drive this car. So he said, that's first gear, the second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever. We'll fire it up and you'll go. I said, okay. I never felt fear like this in my life. Okay. And then you had to start the car because it had trumpets coming out. You had to fuel each trumpet and then rotate the engine and fire the ignition on, and it would start. So that itself, that process, whoa, right? What's going on, And then it roared into life. It was pulling 12,000 RPM, that kind of a car. I said, okay, got it. I had no clue which gear I'm in. And Knockhill is not one of the circuits that you want to drive a Formula 2 car on. I said, all right, started driving, did one lap, and a tractor decides to cross the track.
Whoa.
I said, this is all I needed. As it is, I'm just waiting to get out of my seat, okay? And then this tractor casually crosses the track because Knockhill has farmlands on the inside and outside. And I said, thank you very much. I pulled straight in. I said, no, I'm not driving this again. Ship it to Madras, and then we'll drive it there. Okay. Came in, and then my sponsors got more and more keen on it. So we raced that car, and then Vijay said, oh, I see. So he upgraded then from the MNO 8 to the next ensign, which was the ground effects. Just because he could. Okay.
Yeah.
He had to have the best car, he had to have the best thing. And then Maharaj Kumar of Gondal. Ganu was racing the home-built Jaguar Special. And when this car arrived, it kind of stunned everybody. History will say that on our first outing of 50 laps, history will say that Gondal pulled out, saying that he had a mechanical issue. After the race, I went and tapped his ignition because he said the car just cut off, and it started. Ganu didn't like being beaten. So anyway, so that was him. On the 49th lap, I was so thrilled at leading a Formula 1 car that I lost total concentration and crashed into the barriers.
Oh.
On the left-hander at Scholavaram, which was a T-form track. So crashed into the barriers, and there Mr. Malia just drove past to win the Indian Grand Prix. And he's never let me live it down till date. And I keep trying to emphasize that I was still leading by quarter a lap or half a lap. But he says, well, the bullshit stops when the checkered flag drops. So I said, okay.
Absolutely.
So historically, yes, that was my first Formula 2 race which Malia won. But then I had my revenge in Calcutta. We had Barrackpur, where we raced. Part of it was a football field, and the crowds were quite sensational. You can quite imagine in Calcutta, they were sitting. I mean, if
Right
this
at
is
the edge.
they were on the edge, and we had a tire blast, and it was like, I'm kidding you not, it was like parting of the seas. It was terrifying because as soon as I had the rear left tire that blew out, the car swung like that and went into the spectators.
Wow.
How nobody died,
Mm-hmm.
how nobody got killed is an absolute miracle, because we were doing over 200 plus on the straight, and I'm just thankful for that nobody got hurt. So these were the perils of racing big cars on uneven surfaces, and
Yeah.
Scholavaram was very safe. Barrackpur was very dangerous.
So, which would you consider your iconic? I mean, you've talked about two crashes. I wouldn't want to use the term iconic over here, but which would be your iconic? Is it amongst these two, or is it a different one? Or
We rolled off in 1973
that was in rallying.
in rallying.
Yeah.
Okay, we rolled off the hills of Kodaikanal, which I think was the most iconic in terms of crashes. The reason being that we started from Madras, got to Trichy, got to Thekuri, and then I switched drivers because I had driven the whole night. My uncle, Bandhu, was second driver. Ravi Talam, who lives in England, from Bangalore, in fact, Ravi at Shashikala. Ravi was one navigator, and Mr. Nagaraj, who was head of Burmashell in those days. So it was a four-man team again. Leaving Thekuri in pouring rain, my uncle was driving, skidded off the first corner in the Ambassador, jammed the rear left wheel against the tree. Took us a while. Then he said, look, you drive. So I had driven all day, all night the previous night. Got down from Thekuri up to Kodi, did the loop around Kodi. Coming down Kodi, the fact is, the road turned, I didn't. So,
Blame the road.
so we had 3 somersaults forward, 6 rolls this way, and landed on the V of a tree.
I've seen that picture.
Yeah, the car is there in on my Facebook page. You'll see a smashed car number 17. Again, the number WMB 5425.
No roll cages, no seat
No roll cage, no harnesses,
harnesses.
just normal seat belts. All 4 of us survived, but there was a very funny part to that as well. You know, Halda instruments
Yeah,
were
I
very
remember
precious.
them. Yes.
So we had a Halda which belonged to Ravi Talam. He was a
Okay.
navigator. So here's this car hanging on its side, fuel dripping everywhere, and my uncle and Nagaraj both got thrown out from the back seat. I kind of jumped, let go from the rear windscreen because that was broken, and Ravi won't get out. So I'm calling him, Ravi, come, Ravi, get out because there's fuel pouring. We don't know
Yeah,
what's going to
yeah.
happen, and you know the road is up there, and we are lying somewhere down here. And Ravi says, no, tell my wife, okay, that, you know, I'm really sorry. And he wouldn't just let go. Oh, I'm going to die. Finally, I said, no choice.
Yeah.
Yanked him out of the car, okay, pulled his legs and started running up the hill. Halfway up the hill, he's running down again. So I said, where are you going? My Halda. I said, Ravi, okay, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I don't know if he remembers that story or not, but the rallying instruments were so rare and precious to come by.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I can understand his anxiety and his fear of losing his Halda meter, but when we sit and laugh about it today, it makes a good story. But In the old days, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
But in racing, bad crashes, it was only the fear of a bad crash.
Fear of the man.
Okay, I don't think I ever had a very bad crash on the track, including at Safdarjung where we raced. We finally forced ourselves to do a demo race because the late Nazir Hussain, the surface was really bad at Safdarjung at the airport. It was gravel coming out. And Nazir said, if you guys are real racing drivers, come and show your skills. So it was Karivardhan, Ajit Thomas, and myself in 3 identical cars. So Ajit was driving a Chevron as well, and so was Kari. So we finally decided we'll just do a demo race and have a photo finish. Because in the audience, we had 2 of the privileged people, Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. They were so the security was so tight, and both of them had come to watch the race, and we had to put on a show. And if we were going to drive competitively, we were going to crash. We'd definitely do. Because the airport authorities also decided that the runway has to look nice. So just at the U-bend and our braking points, they decided to paint those white markers. You can imagine just coming down and braking it. You got no control.
No control, yeah.
Absolutely no control. So it was quite a weird but special weekend because of the political side of it. I mean, in the heart of Delhi, you're racing and things like that. But luckily, I never really had a bad crash, excepting I don't know if any of you have seen those videos of Curry and me in Calcutta.
No.
Okay, you must see it. It's on social media. It was put out by Rajkumar, GD Rajkumar of Coimbatore. We have raced for 25 laps. You can't notice a single wheel. It looks like 4 wheels in line. We've had our wheels between each other, but we've raced 25 laps around Barrackpore like that.
Is that the same race where there is a photograph of both of you finishing at the finish line? And
possibly. A photo finish.
Yeah, it's a photo finish.
Yes.
Is that the same one?
That's the same one where I beat Curry to the line.
Okay.
Okay. So, how and why we didn't crash, how and why we didn't lock wheels and roll over was probably the respect we had for each other. We didn't want to play these dirty games of trying to break somebody or, trying to make somebody spin out. We were absolute rivals on the track. Okay, but we were really, really close, good friends till the day he died. Even in the morning, I was speaking with him till 2:30. So, I think the excitement of that race. The GD Rajkumar put that video out, and I was looking at it. I said, "Wow!" And there's one before that, even at Scholavaram. So, Curry driving the March or the Chevron. These were the exciting races. These were really the exciting races. And of course, racing against the Formula 1 car in Barrackpore and in Madras was special. But Barrackpore was really special because Vijay crashed out. Django Nicholson, who was probably the oldest driver in history to be racing the BMW, I think it was the 328 or 318, which is now owned by Hormo Sarabji. So Django was driving that car. Vijay didn't realize how slow it was when he came up behind Django. All the cars used to run together.
Yeah.
You had the specials, the saloons, the Formula cars. So we had a grid of 40, 50 cars. You had some really slow pokes and some really quick cars. And he came on, and Django Nicholson was going along, and Vijay had no choice. Either hit Django or spin out. And I had the last laugh at the finish. I said, "Thank you. That's my win."
So, would you consider Vijay or Karivardhan competition or a threat?
I considered Curry and Vijay. I considered competition, and Curry was always a threat. You never knew what he'll come up with.
Okay.
You never knew. He always, because he was so, his fundamentals were so strong. He technically was very strong. Okay, Vijay had to rely on others.
Okay.
Okay, whereas Curry was technically very strong himself, and that's why when I started the JK rally team in 1993, it was done in Curry's house. Okay, the Singhanias had flown down there, and we literally gave birth to what became the JK motorsport team in '93. I started the MRF team as I told you in 1982, and ran it till 1990 or 1991, the rallying and the racing. And then 1993, we formed the JK rally team and ran it till 2000, till the fracas between MAI and FMSCI broke out. We did a good job, and Curry, I could have done it myself, okay, but Curry had better fundamentals, stronger technical background, had the access to more infrastructure, and was certainly a better tuner and preparer than I was, okay. So I said, look, we're forming a new team, Curry, you've got to do it. So we started this in 1993 in his house in Rasakondulu, Coimbatore. 1995, unfortunately, he died in the air crash. After that, I inherited the entire infrastructure and team and bought a place on the outskirts of Madras and ran it very successfully, I think, for about a decade after that. So,
which was your best win?
Racing or rallying?
Both.
I would say the best win. You take any of my 3 IAC rallies.
Okay.
Background.
The Rally Day Endurance.
Rally Day Endurance. It was a rally I was very fond of. Okay, so I think the one that went to Goa and the one that ran in Coorg. The one in Coorg was very special for one reason, is that we brought out the Dolphin for the first time.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. And we passed, and it was one of the first time stage rallies had started. And we passed Leela and 2 other competitors in the stages in Coorg. Okay. Leela was in the Fiat. He says, oh yeah, but we beat you later on. All that is fine. But that Dolphin was like a racing car on wheels. So I think the IAC and, sorry, the South India Rally, 1992, 91, with Rajiv Rai, and the other one with Manoj Dalal.
Okay.
So I would put these as probably my very special events.
In racing?
Calcutta, Barrackpur win. Without a doubt, that was probably my best win.
Okay, so let's talk about some friendships in motorsport, Vicky.
What's that? Do they exist?
I remember, once we were having a conversation and you were saying, there are some Ken-enabled stories with friends in motorsport, without naming anything or anybody. I mean, the fraternity is very small. We race together, then we come into administration together. So,
yeah. The jealousy factor in Indian motorsport is probably a prime factor for the lack of growth. Okay, I can say it today pretty openly and boldly, but the outlook of the people who can not letting the others who can make the sport grow survive. Okay? Not a question of survival. Everyone is surviving. But you need people to get exceptional for the sport to grow. Okay?
Yeah.
What happens is that you've got this piece of cake, all right? Instead of trying to make it a bigger piece of cake so that you get a larger chunk and everybody else does too, you want the larger part of that small cake. all right, and you want more and more and more of it. So the survivor survives will always be, one of those thorns in your
Mm-hmm.
slice of the cake as well. Whereas if you let it expand, let everyone grow around you, you'll be more successful. This has been the biggest problem in Indian motorsport. That's why after my active participation, my last event was in 2000 at the South India Rally. Uh, Hari Singh and I, we'd rallied the Lancers. After that, I would let go on participation till I got invited by Volkswagen to do a one-off event.
2019.
2019, you're right,
Yeah.
in the R2 VW Polo. So I got out of this and out of racing and rallying myself because it's not healthy. Okay, the way the whole Indian climate is, yes, it wasn't large enough. So everyone was trying to kill each other. Okay, and like you rightly said, I'm not going to take any names, but this is a fact, right? The pie has grown larger now.
Yeah.
So you're seeing more events.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're seeing about 350, 400 events.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably going to see about 10 karting tracks in this country.
Yeah.
Okay, so all this is because, in spite of the Cain and Abel phenomena, all right, people are still growing, right?
Yeah.
They are able
Yeah.
to fight that, and they're still growing, which is giving room. I am a firm believer for example, when the earlier founders of MMSC built the track, I wasn't part of it. It was mainly Muthu, CT, my dad, Bhatia, Jain Patel. All these people were heavily in. Gopal Madhavan was instrumental in putting the track together. So when they built the track, they built it as a club circuit, for example. Okay, it was never meant to be an international racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
It was never meant to be It was again meant to be a Scholavaram destination kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When other tracks started coming up, for example, when the BIC started coming up, everyone said, "Oh my God, this track is going to die in Chennai." Okay, but that's not true.
True.
Okay, you need to change your outlook. I was the co-chairman of the 3 years of Formula One at the BIC. Karun was an advisor to Tilke and to the JP Group, and I worked with the JP Group from the day we did with Mr. Jayaprakash Gaur, Samir Gaur, and Manoj Gaur. I was the fourth person who sat doing the Havan. I don't know if people understand what a Havan is, but a Havan is where you pray to the fire, and four of the people, okay, the well-wishers within the family, do the puja for the inauguration, laying the first brick. So
For the BIC.
For the BIC. So I had no reservations, and I had no insecurities, all right, about that. And I'm glad now. I mean, we have an excellent relationship with Naren, who's got the coast track in Coimbatore.
Yeah.
BVG, who's got the KMS. Bhupesh, who's building the Brent track at Bangalore. I haven't met Gigi Boy or Gingy Boy in Pune yet, okay, who's putting together that one. But the more, you've got to have more events, okay? It's like saying you have more entertainment, okay? You'll have more people taking to it. If you just have one track, it's never going to be successful. So, the insecurities of people who still are trying to put others down, the attitude needs to change.
How has it changed from, say, 1975 when the federation was formed to now? I mean, what's the transition? What's the change in what you're saying?
Okay, so I would say that start doing whatever you can do best. Okay, don't stick your nose in other people's business. Like, it's very difficult. Okay, even
Which was what was happening before.
And people like me with long noses sometimes are accused of sticking it everywhere, but so be it. It comes with the territory. Okay, but Uh, take my own club, for example, okay, at MMSC. We only work towards building the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Come to whatever discipline, whether it's karting, whether it's racing, whether it's off-roading, whether it's rallying. All we are working and focusing is on how to make ourselves better rather than worrying about the competition. Okay. So what turned out to be a 10 lakh rupee investment today is worth 1,000 crores. Okay. And and rightly so, because that the outlook of people like my dad and everyone else, okay, was different. They were visionaries.
Yeah.
Okay, they were visionaries. What has changed from 1975 to now, I think in 75 it was just a handful of people. But now when I look at the rallying circuit, uh, I've just been appointed, I don't know whether you know it or not, as the chairman of the Rally Commission for the first time in my life
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
Federation. So I'm now looking that there are a lot more rally teams. There are at least 8 or 9 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And that fight for dominance is not knife edged anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's there. You need to have that to do a good event, but that cutthroat part of life, I think, is slowly disappearing
In the rallying
in
field,
the rallying fraternity as well as racing.
racing also.
As
Okay.
well as racing.
Okay.
In the two-wheelers, there is still some bit of cutthroat, but the two-wheelers, the approach of the teams is far more professional than the cars. I have to say this. I'm not though I was an Enfield bike rider, works rider, and I've rallied on scooters and bikes. I must say the presentation and the way the two-wheeler sport is today in racing, okay, is much better as a spectacle and as a presentation
Mm-hmm.
than the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys are driving back today, look at the way the pits are set. Look at the way the teams are geared. Look at the way they are dressed. Look at the way the social media presence. You know,
True.
but yes, I'm glad things are changing for the better. People are learning to accept others' success, which was never the case earlier.
Okay.
And maybe being one of the most controversial human beings in Indian motorsport, as soon as I stepped out from active participation, it helped others grow. Okay, I will. I mean, it's a statement. I'm making it, so whoever needs to listen to it will.
So with this change now that you're talking about, that teams are more, there are more teams coming in, etc., etc. Do you see in the foreseeable future the next Naren Karthikeyan or a Karun Chandok?
Unfortunately, not.
No?
Okay, I made a statement in 2010 when Karun entered Formula One in 2011, 2012. People kept asking me, when will there be a third Indian Formula One driver? I said, not for at least a decade. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I made a statement then. Okay.
Mm.
And I was talking to Naren about it even last week. We've had few, let's say, bursts there, here and there. Like the Minis, for example, okay?
Yeah.
Our best bet today, and seeing someone on the
F1 grid.
F1 grid is Kush.
Okay.
All right? But it's still 2025. Okay, so it's going to be 1.5 decades. So I just hope he makes it. He's a nice kid. He's a decent driver. I was watching his qualifying at Monza last night. But we simply don't have it because today, earlier Formula One, you could, if you had the money and the sponsorship, okay, you could actually carry a sponsor to a team because the teams also needed money. Today, with the cost cap at $150 million or euros, whatever it is, the teams are now profit centers. They don't need your money. Okay, and there are plenty of drivers who are aspiring to be Formula One. Okay, they don't need to bring money because the teams can't take the money or they can't spend the money.
Yeah.
All right. So the drivers bringing in sponsorships or the drivers bringing in financial backing is not an incentive anymore to the teams. So it's become a little more difficult to enter. And but at the same time, for India to get another driver, if Kush makes it, great. I mean, I'm hoping he does because it'd be really nice for the country and for the Maini family. I know them exceedingly well, and they're very nice people. And it'd be a big feather in our cap, and it'll help us bringing back Formula One to India.
Oh, okay.
Okay, by having an Indian driver, it'll help us bringing Formula One back to India.
All right.
So I'm hoping this happens. So,
Okay. Well, I mean, like you said, I still remember after cricket, motorsport used to get the maximum amount of coverage.
Still does.
It still does?
Still does.
Okay.
Okay, now I think Kabaddi has gone past
Uh-huh.
motorsport, but motorsport was very much there.
The Indian motorsport, or are you talking about F1 and
I'm talking about motorsport in general,
in general?
watched in India.
Watched in India. Okay.
Okay, international and national. National, no. Okay, I'm talking about international motorsport, but motorsport in general today had the second higher viewership in India after cricket. You're absolutely right. But now I think the Kabaddi League has jumped us quite a bit.
Yeah, because I still remember people would recognize a Leela Krishnan or a Farhad Batena or a Vicky Chandhok on the roads.
That's missing.
Yeah.
That is exactly what's missing. Okay. When driving on Scholavaram, and you walk out from there, you probably felt like a Shah Rukh Khan or one of those guys, for lack of another name.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not very much into movies, but this is where we are. You're totally right. Everyone would recognize you. Today, we have not created heroes. So unless you create heroes in the sport, you're going nowhere. You need to create heroes. That's how you get a following. That's how you bring awareness to the sport. That's how you bring people saying, look, let's also follow the sport. You need to create a Sachin Tendulkar, a Virat Kohli, or, you need to create heroes. So we had such a large following. I mean, 70,000 people at Scholavaram was something very special. We came to Iringatukottai to a special built, beautiful track. The racing has got better. The facilities are much better. What happened to the spectators? I haven't even got 70,000 mosquitoes, let alone people. Okay, they've gone.
Yeah.
It's also those days we never had television. Okay, we didn't have social media, right? Today it's a webcast, all the events. All right, and we've realized that for people to come to an event, they are not willing to compromise on, let's say, toilets. They are not willing to compromise on hygiene, right? We've realized this over the years. Okay, in Scholavaram, you wanted to pee, you'll go to a hole in the wall. I mean, a hole in the ground, and it was part of the adventure. Okay, you're in the middle of nowhere. Today you won't. Okay, so you take our new infrastructure at Mika, for example. Our toilets are like built to five-star hotel standards. Okay, we've emphasized on that, right? We've built a complete new toilet block, which is probably being inaugurated today or tomorrow.
Yeah, we did see that yesterday.
Yeah, as soon as you drive in, that's for the mechanics. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We are teaching them how to use proper hygiene. Okay, we're saying, look, we've built this now, guys. Up to you to you can't wash oily hands in the sink. All this is a massive challenge. It's a massive challenge. So to just bring the sport, to increase the value of the sport, today people are willing to spend 10 to 15,000 rupees, and you give them a special lounge with great booze being served in the afternoon, lovely cocktails, some decent music and food. Okay, and you charge 10, 20,000 rupees, they'll come. You give it to them free, they will not come.
Yeah.
They want the lounge experience. They want the experience of what they do on a social evening. Okay.
Yeah.
They take Delhi. I'll give you a simple example. The first year, I probably had 1 million calls for passes and tickets for the Formula One event. we were fully sold out, 136,000 or 137,000. Stands were jam-packed. Okay. The second and third year, I'm asking the same people who were clamoring for tickets and for passes, say, okay, guys, are you coming? No, I've been there once. So that, how do you sustain the interest? Okay, for them, their social calendar sticked. And like in Hindi, they say, Are saab, dekh liya ek baar. Or they'll say, Vicky, we've been there once, why come again?
Is that because of a lack of culture of motorsports in the country?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's more a social event to be at rather than a motorsport event.
More like a tick in the box.
Yeah. So if that's what they want, let's try and create that. Okay. So we are looking at trying to do that as well. Trying to make it think, look, come have a relaxed afternoon. Come with friends. Come and have a cocktail afternoon kind of thing. To try and sustain the interest more than anything else. Racing has to be coupled with entertainment. Okay. Some form of entertainment. So whether it's simulators, whether it's music, whether it's whatever, I don't know. Okay. But we are trying to find the answers. We found a lot of answers at the Mika track. Okay. It's a very, I'm sorry, I'm just digressing a bit.
That's okay.
But at Mika, we were looking for a name. Okay. We said, and with no reference to Mika Häkkinen. Okay. We came up with Madras International Karting Arena. I then picked up the phone and called Karun. I said, Karun, can you get Mika to come down and inaugurate the track? He said, are you kidding? I said, no, I'm serious. He said, oh, okay, I'll try it. So he called Mika, and Mika loved coming because so suddenly that whole, there's this lovely soft halo around Mika, around the around the track.
Yeah.
Double world champion Mika Häkkinen inaugurated it, and people are so happy coming to the track that we wanted to be active on social media. We now find we don't need to.
Yeah.
Everyone who's coming and being on the track, any kid, any serious driver, okay, they're driving for fun, they're driving for times or whatever they're doing. Everyone is posting on their social media that how great it was being at Mika. So there's a lesson there to be learned. Okay, that they're finding the facility fantastic. Okay, they're finding it. Hey, we can go there. We can actually use the loo. We can actually buy a snack. Okay, and we've got some decent equipment to drive. It's a fantastic. It's India's first internationally approved Grade 1 track.
Yeah.
Okay, people are taking pride in going there. So, hell, right. So we've given them a product. It's like buying a top of the line, say a Mercedes Maybach. Okay, so once you're there, everyone says, "Wow, I also want to ride in it." That's what's happened with Mika.
Yes.
Okay. We have a waiting list of 3 hours on Sundays.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I'm glad I've got into administration.
Well, that's the next segment that we're getting into. But then you said, Vicky, now Kabaddi is number 2 almost. Okay. If you see Kabaddi, there are stars, there are iconic figures. Why has motorsport not been able to get, for example, a Shah Rukh Khan or I don't know. Of course, now Ganguly is coming and, a few of them here and there, but a serious...
DK, let me tell you this. I've said it to you privately. I'm saying it to you now on this podcast. Okay? The crab mentality story in Indian motorsport is far too strong. All right? The minute they find the crab crawling out of the well to get on with life, they'll make sure they pull it down.
The great Indian crab story.
Exactly. Okay. This is the reason we haven't been able to create heroes. So my mandate and our organizers' mandate to our media coordinators now is that the focus on the press releases, okay, has to be on the people, has to be on the riders. If you see for this weekend, for example, I've been noticing in the press, in the media releases, and in the media that's come out in print, there is now a very strong focus on the riders. Northeast, we've got two guys. Make them
Yeah,
heroes.
I did read about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So suddenly, when they go back to the Northeast, that's a very good example. Is the Northeast. When they go back, they're being recognized as heroes. Okay. So let's at least tap the potential in areas where we can.
Okay.
Okay. And maybe we'll be able to create heroes elsewhere. We haven't had, because also the sport is so fragmented.
Mm-hmm.
You've got so many different classes of racing, so many different classes of rallying. You finish a rally and somebody says, "Oh, I'm the national champion." You've got 11 bloody national champions. So who is the true national champion? You know, you need one overall hero first. Then you create the pyramid. Simple.
It's happening in the INRC, but not so much in racing or even autocrosses.
It's happening now because there's an overall win.
Yeah.
It was never there till this year. You never had an overall winner. You had INRC 1.
Yes.
Or INRC. Now we've got a fresh title with ₹1 lakh as prize money for an overall winner, which was never there. We killed the joy of being an overall winner. We are bringing it back.
Okay.
Irrespective of class. So in rallying, it's easier because everyone's rallying different classes in the same event. Okay. Racing it's a little more difficult because the cars are so different.
Yeah.
Single seater, saloons. So we need one premier class. We had the MRF 2 liter, the MRF Challenge cars. Unfortunately, MRF pulled the plug on that. You've now got the Formula 4, which is done by Achilles Reddy, okay, RPPL. That's a premier class.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, where's the hero? You need to chase one guy. Okay, or one woman. And today, I'm very happy to say this, that we've got 25 women riders at our track.
Yeah.
13 in one category and 12 in the other, which is again never happened.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they're being recognized as riders. If you see, I won't take names because then the others might feel bad, but we've created heroines, so-called heroines out of them. And they love it. And so do we. It brings the eyeballs, they are loving it, and the manufacturers are loving it.
Yeah.
You've got Honda, TVS, to some extent KTM that's doing their own, to some extent Royal Enfield that's doing their own. But the suffering of this sport is in the lack of creating heroes. Today. In Scholavaram days, I mean, we were like kingpins. So,
Absolutely. So, the transition from an athlete to an administrator, what was the turning point?
I was dumped into administration. Okay. I was dragged into administration, left with very little choice. Okay. 1997, I attended the first of my FIA meetings. Okay, when Kashu Madan was the FIA delegate, or 93, between 93 and 97, and when Vijay was there as well. So it was all fine. I was anti-establishmentarianism, to use the phrase. I was never one who wanted the establishment. I was always dead against the federation, okay, because I felt that it was being run by people who had no clue what they're doing. Perhaps, maybe they'll say the same about us today, but be that as it may, comes with the territory. But when India lost, when the FMSCI lost its sporting power,
Yes.
okay, in 2000 or 2001, I was brought in as a firefighter. I had no intention to be a part of the federation. I was brought in to try and make the federation survive. Okay. How do we get around this? Because the FMSCI has lost its FIA recognition in favor of the MAI. All right. It's sad to say this, but the irony of it was Nazir Hussain, who was representing the FMSCI, chose to start his own international body and take away the recognition. And when I called him and I spoke to him outside a meeting, I said, Nazir, you need the government recognition. He said, I'll get that in 24 hours. Our saving grace was that the federation was recognized by the government of India, though it lost its recognition at the FIA. Whether people give me credit or don't, it doesn't matter. I don't care about that anymore. Okay? But one man at the secretariat, Srikant, okay, to a large extent, the Coimbatore councillor Prithvi and myself, I worked for a whole decade, 10 years, to get back the sporting power in 2009 finally. All right? I had to brief lawyers like K.K. Venugopal, Bharat Raman. Okay? We took these lawyers to all our meetings. We took them to Paris, took them to Geneva. We fought court cases, FIA AGMs. So I was brought in as a firefighter, and then by default, when Anand Swadi was not well, I was made the president. I was never even a councillor.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So I was made the president, and I think I served a total of, in broken, eight and a half years, I think. Okay.
I thought it was 7.
No, 8.5 years apparently, in broken spells. But that was my. It didn't matter whether I was the president or not. Okay. I had to make the. I also had a. At that time, I suddenly had a pride to it, saying something my father started, something that belongs to India. Okay, we can't let one individual ruin the establishment. So I took it on as a personal challenge. It costed me a fortune personally. All right, but I did it. And 2009, we got back our recognition. I fought with Max day and night. Day and night. And Nazir made that cardinal mistake. Okay, everyone told me, he said, you can't win this. Okay. Sure enough, he made public his aspirations to be FIA president.
Oh.
And Max Mosley was the president.
Yeah.
So I told Max, I said, Max, you've got to be fair to us. And whatever Max's personal life was, okay, forget all the controversies and everything else. Max was a very good person to have a conversation with. Okay, he knew exactly what the sport was doing. He knew exactly what he was saying. And finally, he's the one who said, yes, I agree. The sporting power has to go back to the federation. And in the bargain, including he's the Advocate General today, Bharat Raman, everyone became friends with Max. Became friends with, at the AGM, we had to get up. Because the minute FMSCI got suspended or you were thrown out of membership, you could never get back the sporting power. So at each AGM, we had to stand up and fight for survival. We had to say, please, okay, listen, okay, you've got to give us time. You can't do this. So just let our membership stay. Okay, forget the sporting power. Okay, let the membership stay till we finish this whole battle in the right way. So finally, it was a big relief when we got back the sporting power.
Yeah, and you said that with your dad, there were 4 other people who formed the federation.
Do you know how that went about? So in 1972, my dad, one of his ideas, decides that at Bangalore, Freddie and John Webb, at one of the events earlier to that, said they had handicap races and there were no real fixed rules. So he had a chat with Freddie Webb and said, let's form a federation. Okay, this is how. So that we have common regulations for everyone to follow. It came from there. Okay, it started from Bangalore. So Freddie said, sounds like good thing. John was very involved, and they really
Yeah,
got involved
yeah.
very well. Then he said, okay, now how do I drag people into this? So he went to his good friend Ajay Singhania and said, Ajay, you've got to do this. Ajay was the managing director of Raymond's.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Ajay agreed and said that, fine, I'll come in. Webb said, look, not us, we're going to put AD Jairam.
Yeah.
Okay, so ADJ was made the nominee from Bangalore Motorsports Club. Then the fourth was quite easily done with LG Vardarajan. Okay,
The Coimbatore.
Okay, he was glad to come in. And that's it. We can't have four. We must have five. The federation actually got formed with four.
I see.
Then Suresh Kumar was convinced much later to come in as the fifth signatory. So the original federation was formed with one man, and then literally dragged four people in to form the FMSCI, which we registered then in 1973. In spite of our own office of the federation and things like that, it operated out of my dad's office till the mid-90s. All the administration and everything else, and all the handwritten minutes. It was all very special. In fact, before my dad's passing in December last year, I gathered all the archives and I've sent it. I hope they preserve it at the federation now, because we have a very nice office as well. So, but I think the administration I enjoyed. I enjoyed my presidency as well. I think we had a very successful term. We had a manufacturers conclave at celebrating our 40th year. We brought Formula One in 3 years in a row. And, well, let history speak for itself, whether people think it was a good term or a bad term, but it was a satisfying term for me.
Yeah. Which brings me to this question, that Nasir Hussain was also part of the founding five, right?
And a very good friend of my father.
So what was it that triggered him to kind of split or move away or?
So, Nazir was a absolute, let's say, encyclopedia of knowledge of motorsport. He knew the sport exceedingly well. And what happened was that the FIA had funded for a Asia office to run in India. The secretariat for the Asia Pacific or the Asia zone area was run out of the FMSCI, for which the FIA was paying an administrative fee, like a rental, to run those offices. The powers that be of the federation, whoever was the president, I don't remember, I think it was Shamik or Karthik or somebody, I think it was Shamik Masalat. It was discovered that quite clandestinely or quietly, the funding to the FMSCI had stopped and was instead going to the Himalayan Rally Association, the HRA.
Which was Nazir
Hussein's own club. So a big shindig was created, and people started getting, within the federation, started getting after Nazir on various counts. Having got tired and fed up with all that, I think, he was looking at it as at a bigger picture. Decided to quietly apply and form the MAI and quietly apply for recognition. Given his personal contacts within the FIA, he was very, very well respected.
He was the
Vice
only
President.
F1 steward, right? Yeah.
Also, unfortunately, was suspended for 1 year.
Okay.
Because of the Michael Schumacher incident at Silverstone. Okay, but we can come to that if there's time. But so when Nazir went ahead and formed this, it was strange that he had formed the MAI but was still representing the FMSCI.
Oh.
Okay, so I think it was it was because of the bickerings within the FMSCI and the fact that Nazir wanted a lot more than that could be offered to him. He went ahead and formed his own organization. So that was the beginning of a long legal battle, a lot of it which was funded by Vijay Mallya himself, but it led to 9-10 years of uh, just pulling in different directions within the same fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all of us who were supporting either the FMSCI or the MAI remained social friends. We remained competitors. We remained administrators. And here there was a situation where it was an India-Pakistan situation. Okay, so one championship is being recognized, one is not being recognized, one is cursing the other, one is being funded by one corporate, one is being funded by another corporate. I mean, come on, it was a battle that had to be fought. Okay, it had to be fought successfully for the simple reason that the FMSCI did not deserve to lose its power, not from terms of performance, but did not deserve to lose its power to somebody who clandestinely took it away.
How did the FIA agree to it?
Personal contacts.
Okay.
Okay. And I think that was a wrong message we got. Good thing you brought this up. In Seville, Spain, Kashru Madan, KD Madan and I were representing the FMSCI at the annual General Assembly. Vijay Mallya was meant to attend. He had some problems with his aircraft, something happened, so he could not fly in from San Francisco to Seville. He called us just when we were entering the AGM venue and said, look, Nazir has made this application. They are going to bring it to the floor. So the floor has to approve
it.
So unless the floor approves it, you can't become a member. And to get the floor approval, you first of all had to get your own national government sanction, which he didn't get. So Vijay called us and said, don't object.
Okay.
We said, why? So I guess the reasoning of Vijay was that it was already a predetermined thing that Nazir was going to get his membership, whether FIA flouted their own regulations or not, which they did. They incidentally did. So it came up for passing the membership, and like two dumb idiots, we just sat there and didn't object. Okay, because Vijay said, I've spoken to Max, we will find a way to survive, and I will be the chairman of both organizations. I think that was the biggest mistake.
Okay.
Okay, that compromise never worked. It never worked. I remember so many times going up to Nazir's office in Bombay, trying to get meetings, trying to get a working relationship going. He had his lawyer Chandu Mehta. We had our lawyer Bharat Raman. We made a number of trips trying to make this whole thing work. It would work till we yelled at each other again. Okay, so it was never going to work. You can't have two governing bodies. You just cannot have two governing bodies. I'm glad that fair sense finally prevailed. Okay, and the sporting park came back, but I think it was the wrong thing that Nazir did in that time.
Just going back a little, we were talking about the bickerings. There's still some bickerings about the founder member issue with the fraternity.
And why not? Of course there'll be, right? The 5 founders had the vision to create the federation. Okay? Not only they had the vision, they anchored the federation. When the federation, they funded it, they ran it, they administered it. They really were the pillars. And when all these problems came up, right, between the MAI and the FMSCI, it's a good thing that 4 out of the 5 founders stood together. Okay, without which, okay, it would have made the situation worse. So it's a question of balance of power. The founder members play a check and balance role. Unfortunately, some of the founder member clubs today are not as strong as they were meant to be.
Yeah.
Okay, they've got their own they've got their own internal politics and lack of conformity legally. And the other side of it is that they're not active anymore. I mean, we even have clubs that hardly do any events. Okay, bring out a picturesque magazine or a newsletter, and are still sitting as founder members because they get permits and applications made by some other organizers and earn their criteria of performance to be eligible to vote. I, for one, while I like the idea of founder members for the sake of stability, I'm totally open to the idea of making everybody on the same level platform of a level playing field based on criteria of performance. But none of this rubbish about earning points for events that you're not actually doing. Okay, and you're getting somebody else to do the events and you're getting the points just to sit on the council, on the governing council. The new sports bill,
I was about to come to that.
Yes, that's now become an act, is now dealing with a lot of all this. The founder members can perhaps still retain their founder member status, all right, and get double the points. It's just still in a discussion stage. I'm in discussion on behalf of the Federation with the lawyers. If they perform, they could probably earn more points than the non-founder members. But the criteria has to be a lot higher. And a strict forensic audit, if I use the word loosely, has to be done on the points that they're earning through actual legitimate events. Okay? It's not fair that, say, I own a private company called Motorsports. Okay, I might do an event or two. I shouldn't be doing it under, say, BK's name. Okay, just so that BK can go and earn a vote. That's wrong. You've got to perform. You've got to earn your place. Otherwise, don't come near us.
Yeah.
Okay, you either perform or you don't.
Yeah.
So, if the motorsport administrators start administering the sport with a conscience, okay, half the problem will be solved.
Would there still be founder members in the new proposal?
Why not? You can't lose the founder member status. They are founder members by right. Okay? Their voting criteria can be the same as the floor. Okay? Their performance criteria can be the same as the floor or different. Okay? But the fact that they are founder members, you can't take it away. My name is Vicky Chandhok. You can't take that away from me. Okay? So, they will be called founder members for life.
Which means they can sit automatically in the board of directors.
That need not be the case. Okay, that need not be the case. That should be based, we are working it with the lawyers. Either they go to the floor for elections, okay, which is fine, but as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. Both options are fine. The founder member status to retain and automatic seats on the board, and if the board has to go up to 15, so be it.
All right.
Okay. Alternatively, the founder members should perform at a much higher criteria level and earn more points also. So, supposing you're getting a 0.1, okay, or you're getting a single point for doing a certain event, the founder member could get 2 points and thereby retaining their status. Okay. It's a formula that's being worked on. It's very early days. We've got 6 months because, okay, for the act to come into effect, right? So we are in consultation with the lawyers, and the other problem has come with the state associations. Okay, the bill earlier said you have to have district federations, you have to have state federations. Motorsport is unique.
Yes,
you can't have state. These sports bills of this country are largely based on things like cricket, football, hockey. Okay, where they are in every state. Whereas motorsport, you need larger organization of rallying, for example. Circuit racing, you can't build circuits in every state. So I'm glad to see that the government has done away with one very critical clause, which was part of the old archaic code of 1963, which was that you need 2/3 representation in the states of India.
Yes.
That is gone.
Okay,
so there is no minimum state representation anymore. So, which is a big relief, right? So now we are working on that. We are analyzing it very carefully. I think it's a good sports bill, okay, which has now become an act. So it's a question of how we now adapt to that as best way we can, and from the federation's perspective, apply for the waivers only where absolutely necessary. Example, having, supposing we have only 8 board members, okay, they've said that you must have 4 women.
Okay.
But pro rata, we don't have that much in terms of competitors or in terms of clubs with so many women.
Yes.
Okay. Then they say 2 athletes. On a board of 10, if 2 athletes are coming in by right, 4 women by right, you're down to 4.
4.
So there are solutions. Okay, our lawyers are very good sports lawyers. Mr. Vidushpat Singhania, the very senior sports lawyer, who in fact I think who represented the government even in that weightlifting case.
I see.
Where that half a kilo, quarter kilo, or 1/3 kilo made a difference recently at the Olympics or the Asiad or something like that. So he's a very youngster, but very much on the ball, and I think we'll have some good solutions in the next 3 months.
And that's good news. That's good to know.
Yeah. But coming back to your basic thing on founder members, okay? I, for one, am open of founder members standing on the floor as well.
Okay. Stand for elections.
Stand for elections. No problem. No problem. It's a democratic country. You want to do it, do it. I like the thing of being there by right, because of the fact that we slogged the founder. When I say we, I mean the founder members slogged to bring the federation to where it was. Okay, the bickerings of new members or the bickerings of members who have to stand for elections will remain.
Yeah,
you can't help it. You can't help it.
Okay. So on that note, your 8.5-year stint at the federation as the president, which were your best years?
I think I would say my term that ended in 2013. All right.
Yeah.
The 11 to 2013, when we brought Formula One, we hosted the only time ever in probably 100 years of the Federation, International Automobile FIA, the prize giving an annual award function and the General Assembly in the global was hosted in India, in Delhi.
In Delhi.
In Delhi. I coordinated that along with the FIA and Malia. It was a huge achievement for India to host. You had all the Formula One drivers, all the World Rally drivers, the truck drivers, every single discipline of the FIA was here to collect the awards. And they loved it. They loved the Indian cuisine. They loved the atmosphere. They were like, they just loved being in India. And they loved the Indian Grand Prix. Okay, that was special. Yeah. Vettel won his world title here, kissed the BIC floor, and so on and so forth. So it was great, dramatic. Other than that, I think the 40th year anniversary of the FMSCI, where we had a lovely function. I had invited every vehicle manufacturer. We had an attendance of over 47 people. We had a manufacturer's conclave, and very good session for a whole day. Interaction, changing tables with councillors, each councillor there interacting with manufacturers, getting their points on the sport, how to draft regulations, what they would like to see out of it. It resulted in bringing in a lot of the two-wheelers and Maruti at that time, as well as Mahindra. Okay, it's a pity that they've fallen out. I mean, the four-wheeler manufacturers have dropped out as a manufacturer. But they're still supporting the sport, I think, in various other ways. But the two-wheelers have remained, and it's growing now. We've come to electric bikes. So I think as my years of governing the federation, 2009 was the year of elation because we got back the sporting bike. Okay, that was pure elation and relief that I didn't have to keep traveling to Paris and Geneva and all these places just fighting for survival. But that was elation. In terms of delivering, yes, Formula One, because that was the pinnacle of motorsport. But The 40th year anniversary was very special in organizing.
Well, though, your tenure would have been more of the MAI, FMSCI, but which was the most challenging year?
The most challenging year was
Or the
2000.
challenging term in your presidency?
The first term, okay, 2004, 5, 6, whenever that was. I think 2005, suddenly Anand Swadi fell ill, and he was representing sportscraft,
Yeah.
okay, and not Masa, right? And Shrikant Karani was not an acceptable candidate to replace Dada, okay? So I got the call to become the president, okay? And that was the most challenging. I had no clue what it involved.
Thrown into the deep end.
Literally thrown into the deep end. I wasn't a councillor. I never administered the federation. I had no idea how it worked. And here I was. But having run a business and having been part of organizations, social organizations like the Round Table, the Rotary, and things like that, it gave me a fair idea of the direction I should take. But the damn politics to deal with it was probably the worst. Definitely the worst.
What is it, that one thing that you regret not doing, which you could have done?
In creating a common platform of racing where both the tire corporates who back motor racing today could compete with each other on the same platform. That is, have an identical class of racing. Let anyone run their own tires. Let anyone run their own. Okay? Same class of cars. Not a bias. So that everyone then works on performance of product and performance of the vehicle and performance of driver. Now we've created a very fragmented segment where you've got the same classes being run by one, another championship being run by the two. It's a pity that what I could not do is to bring everyone down onto the same platform. That's point one. And I think probably my biggest regret is that I had to leave. Okay, I had to leave because of politics. All right, in 2013, before the AGM, I announced that I will not be running for my candidature. And that was purely because of the political moves that were being made against my office of president. Okay, it was being challenged and it was being done by so-called friends in a very underhand method. Right? The AGM was at the Meridian. These people were getting together to gang up against the administration. And I think they did not, that left me without a closure. Okay. It would have been good if I had known this in advance so that I could have got closure to it. But after the AGM, all right, I was really relieved. I was very upset about the way it was done. And I think whoever is going to listen to this podcast will know whom I'm naming. But they all got together, drank a few beers, okay, and these kind of things are not done. Okay, these kind of things. Be out in the open. Bring your fight to the open. Come on. Okay, I believe in that, face to face. I always believe but so do my kids. Don't go around saying or doing things that you can't do when you see a person face to face. The day you can come and say to his face, you go say the same thing behind his back.
Yeah.
But have the bloody decency or guts, okay, not to make these underhand plans. Come fight in the open. Say it in the open. Okay.
Yeah.
That, I think, was my biggest regret, that the end of my presidency fell a prey to politics. But in a way, I tell you, BK, probably the biggest relief.
Yeah. Does look that way. right?
Okay. Great relief. I found quality time for myself after that to develop my own club.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. There's always a positive. There's always a positive. So, in terms of legacies, both my sons have taken to sport. One has taken to motorsport. One is taken to every sport on the planet, from what I see. I mean, but so, we understand the politics of sport. We are very much part of it, and we understand how it goes, how it's played. And while regrets, there can be a few, but you can't hold that inside you. You have to move on, which I've done.
On the other side, what are those changes that you made that you're really proud of, which still sticks in the admin, either with MMSC or FMSCI?
With the FMSCI, I brought about an entire different culture of working. Okay, it became a very responsive culture with a very, very small, dedicated number of staff.
Yeah.
Very few people, but reporting patterns, cost analysis. For the first time, I don't know if many people know this, but the money that was lying in the fixed deposit on which the federation grew year on year came from a very large sponsorship of Airtel on the All India Rally. Okay, that my strength has been stabilizing institutions financially. Okay, it worked very well for the federation. We worked really hard to do that, but it was always bankrupt. They had no money. We built up a corpus, built up enough infrastructure. Today we are proud to have a beautiful office.
Yes.
Okay, it all stemmed from there. So that came about, and to make the working staff very proud, they loved working there. The existing staff that I worked with as the president of the federation actually enjoyed working till burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gave me joy. That, I think, was my greatest achievement. As far as the MMSC is concerned, there's no greatest achievement yet. I think there's still a lot to come.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, again, very tight financial controls. We've built a 10 crore circuit at Mika without a single borrowing, without any sponsors' money. Okay, it's all our internal generated. We put in another 10 crores into infrastructure. Okay, and touch wood, we still have money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot more to come. A lot more to come. I hope that I can leave a living legacy. If I'm dead, fine. Okay, but I'm hoping I can leave a living legacy in the next 4 or 5 years and step away. That's my intention.
Wonderful.
So that in 4 years' time from now, I let go. I already have let go of running of the events.
Yeah.
By letting the youngsters, without them realizing that I'm no longer there. I'm around in the vicinity. Okay, they call me when there's panic, but otherwise, I've slowly let them take charge and let control. Let them make mistakes. Let them make an error. But they need to feel proud that they are now running these club events. And the ownership of the club, everyone says next gen, next gen, next gen. Yes, we all worry that the next generation, there are very few people. But unless you let go and give room
Get others
for them
to do it and make mistakes.
make mistakes, we'll find people. They're coming in. They're coming in slowly but surely, because it's a massive asset that we built. And we are, I think, you're talking about the MMSC, we would probably be amongst one of the few clubs globally with such a large asset.
Mm-hmm.
Few private clubs globally. In Asia, certainly one of the largest, if not the largest. As a not-for-profit organization. not as a commercial organization. As a not-for-profit, we're certainly up there. And that, been supported by a great team of the president and my committee. Nobody pulls each other down. We don't have the crab mentality within our committee.
Okay.
And that's how we've grown. And we will keep growing. And these so-called people who are cribbing and taking us to court, and they're fine, dime a dozen. Doesn't matter. It doesn't stop our outlook.
Yeah.
We are here for the club to grow. We are here to give, to build it into. It already is in India. Everyone talks about our club, okay, but to build it into something bigger, okay. It's a Grade 2 circuit. By the way, right now it's India's only international approved Grade 2 circuit. BIC has lost its license.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So there you go. So that's pride. Mika, pride. We are starting. We run the rally there, South
Yes.
India Rally. That's pride. We are now starting cross kart
Okay.
in the next 3 months with the first of the 610 karts.
Would you be manufacturing the cars?
No.
No.
We're getting them probably made by Anand, J. Anand in Coimbatore.
All right.
So that'll be the first batch. So they'll be starting with leisure, and then hopefully we'll get on to competition.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I forget, a 4x4 track. So that's in the offing. The designs are being done at the moment.
4x4 in the sense off-roading?
Off-roading, because a lot of manufacturers are asking for these 4x4 tracks as recreation.
Okay.
So we are looking at where we can put it within our track.
This is something that I always wanted to ask you, Vicky. You keep saying it is what it is. A very, what do I say, commonly used phrase. What's the underlying message, meaning of it is what it is?
BK, the jealousies and the bickerings that I have personally had to face by my contemporaries or adversaries in the sport are probably the highest that anyone has faced in this country. All right? Either I can let it get under my skin, okay, and lose sleepless nights over it, or come up with my phrase of it is what it is. Being controversial, I think, comes with the territory. People feel that I'm pushy. But unless you're pushy, you can never get anything done. You can't get anything done. A very good lesson, whether I agree with it or not, but it's a very important lesson that I was taught by Bernie Eccleston. Bernie, Max and I were sitting and having coffee one evening. And we were discussing this whole MAI issue, and we were also discussing bringing Formula One to India. So Bernie said, who's going to anchor it? Bringing Formula One. I said, Bernie, I'll do it. Okay, I'll be more than happy to do it. You remember my words. Bernie is always like that. I said, come on, Bernie, tell me. There can never be democracy in motorsport.
Interesting.
It has to be run as a dictator, otherwise nothing will ever get done. I'm not saying that I agree with that phrase, but there's a lot of truth to that.
Yes.
Okay? That unless you're willing to tread that extra mile, get cursed, get yelled at, be called names, be woken up at all hours of the day and night, being sent anonymous letters, unless you're willing to face all that, the sport can grow. So, taking all this into mind, many, many years ago, I was sitting with my wife, who passed away unfortunately 2 years ago, sitting with her, and I said, it is what it is. And this was ages back, and now it's become my standard phrase. Wherever I go, it's following me. Like, you've brought it up, I didn't even think you remembered it, but it is a phrase that's now synonymous with me.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can't let anything get under my skin anymore. So,
That's good to know.
and I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Okay, so Vicky, now we come to what we call as the anonymous section.
Okay.
We put up a Google spreadsheet asking for people to ask questions with the person who's going to be there, our guest. So I've got some.
So it's anonymous, is it?
It's anonymous.
Pity. Okay. Anyway.
We'll do the known ones the next time, probably. So I'm going to move to that.
Go on.
I have about 4 or 5, I guess.
Right.
The first question is, will F1 ever come back to India?
The answer to that, I would say, I'm very hopeful. Ask me this question in 2 years from now. I'm very hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because if the BIC stays and doesn't go into liquidation, we have a chance.
You have a chance. Okay.
We have a chance because the government has changed its attitude, unlike previously, where the JP Group had to pay 10 crores per year to the National Sports Development Fund just to get permission to host the Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, today the government is embracing sport as a tool of marketing. So the MotoGP ran through without any problems. Yes, they've run into administration issues, so they had to cancel for a year or two. But the way it opened up to MotoGP, if they open up like that to F1, there's a very good chance of bringing it in. And the government is realizing it's a very strong marketing tool with a viewership of 1.68 billion people.
Correct.
Okay, there's nothing to beat Formula One as a visual. And we still claim that we are technologically the most advancing country in the world.
Yeah.
So we need F1, right? As much as F1 also needs us because every manufacturer is here. So we need to work on bringing it back. We've got all the feelers out in the right place. Okay, but we are not ready ourselves because we don't know where BIC is going.
Okay.
So if we are sure that BIC is going to stay, then we can see.
Also, as a follow-up from my side for this question is, it ran for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the contract got cancelled.
No.
No?
The contract was very valid.
Uh-huh.
JP Group, in fact, put the money in escrow.
Okay.
Okay, for the period of contract. They paid up. Problem was the court cases. There were over 50 or 60 court cases against the organizers and the JP Group.
Oh.
Okay, there were court notices from Income Tax Department. All the teams, there were 19 teams that year, I think. All the 19 teams got notices saying, declare your income for each race, and 1/90 of that income paid tax on that in India.
Oh.
All the drivers got notices, all the Formula One drivers.
Oh.
Bernie got a notice. Formula One management got a notice asking for a stake, saying that this is one of 19 races, pay us tax on that basis. The entertainment department got after us, okay, in Noida, saying pay entertainment tax. The excise guys came running, pay excise duty. The number of court cases that happened, finally we couldn't handle it. It was a total massive breakdown of bureaucracy. We just couldn't handle this.
Did the change of governments also play a role?
The government today is embracing all this.
No. At that time?
At that time, I think the government didn't care about Formula One. They felt it was a luxury item.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the last minute, I mean, the way all the cars and fuel and the aircrafts and everything else flew in and got cleared in 1 hour's time, they changed their attitude. But we didn't expect all these governments. If we had a single window clearance like they did for MotoGP, okay, during the Formula One days, Formula One would have continued.
Okay.
MotoGP got that advantage of a single window clearance. So everything was one department. Here we are answerable to 40, 50, 60 departments. Each guy wants to send a notice. Ridiculous. The matter is still in Bombay High Court.
Wow.
Formula One management versus JP Group. So can you imagine this? And imagine you're being a Lewis Hamilton, you're getting a notice from India. Pay tax on 1/19th of your earnings. And then you're asking the team to declare the entire sponsorship, the monies that they earn. Why would they? They are declaring their returns in the countries of their origin. If it's a German team, if it's a British team, they're doing it in their countries. The reasoning was just cockeyed. And that resulted in Formula One running away. Okay, that was the primary reason. It wasn't that the JP Group didn't pay it $40 million. They paid it. Okay, but still this happened. So
Okay. The next one. Around the world, classic touring car and historic racing championships are hugely popular as they allow enthusiasts with limited budgets to get back on track and also preserve racing heritage. In India, we already have many old superstock and ITC cars lying unused, yet there is no official platform for them. Do you think it's time for FMSCI to introduce a classic car touring championship, and what would it take to make this a reality?
whoever's written this question hasn't read the regulations. Okay, we have brought in a new regulation. Okay, which is permitting the old ITC cars to take part. All right, it was brought in. In fact, we had two competitors who did take part in this category last event. We're hoping to get more for the event in September. So the class exists. We've recognized this problem, brought in the new class, and we've circulated the information. When the request came, I was told that there will be at least 8 or 10 cars that will come on, which did not happen. I got 2 onto the grid. If I don't get any more, we'll have to cancel it.
Absolutely.
And I'm just hoping that when people say when they're committing to something, they stand by it. But we have dealt with this.
Okay. How can youngsters, the third question, how can youngsters get into race officials and management roles in Indian motorsports? And what could be the best way to apply for jobs in overseas motorsports /track/races?
In India, I would say the best way is to come in and volunteer at any of our events as a beginning. We have a lot of room for volunteers. We are now even asking officials like stewards and race directors and clerks of the course to come to our events. We've in fact, instead of the 3 normal stewards, we are inviting 2 extra people to come and learn. So start as a volunteer. All our so-called volunteers are now paid. Okay, they are paid on a per day basis. The strong guys, the senior guys, we have a hierarchy system take for example, track marshals. They get paid anywhere between 700 as starters for their transport up to 3,500 a day. Okay.
Okay.
And then you come in and volunteer. We've got now non-members of the club who are clerks of the course, who are race directors, who are running our software, they're running our digital flag systems, they're running our television monitors, they're running our 36 cameras on the track. And we're still short of people. At Mika, for example, I need people for administration, I need people to take bookings, I need people to talk to customers. Okay, we are going online from next week. Okay, because of the we're not able to handle the bookings and I don't want disgruntled customers. So there are plenty of openings. Okay, there are openings here. As far as going abroad to get jobs there, all I can say is good luck. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy. I know at Force India, we had 3 or 4 Indians, okay, very good, competent guys. And there are lots of Indians in Formula One teams now, even now, okay. And in fact, I think the McLaren pit wall or the Williams pit wall, the race strategist or the race engineer, one of the guys, is also from India. Quite a few guys who made it, but it's not easy. Okay, it's certainly not easy getting a break because it's quite, they're limited with number of people to each event as well. So You can't have 600, 800 people, employees like you
Yeah.
had before.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge. Getting a job overseas, you need to be sponsored. That is a sponsor letter, which is the most difficult. That is, somebody has to give you a letter for your visa to say that they're willing to employ you for X number of years. And nobody is normally willing to give you that letter unless you've actually worked for them. So it's a chicken and egg situation. So you're just going around in circles.
Okay, so for the India piece, whom can they get in touch with at the MMSC?
Tell them to write to me.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
That I'll be happy to. Any kids want to come on board, let them write to me and make sure it's not lost in the system. And they
You
get
heard that,
responded.
folks. Write to Vicky.
Simple as that. Okay. No worries. Send me a note and I'll make sure I deal with it.
I kept this question for the last. What is the one conspiracy theory you've been linked to?
Oh, by my own club members. That the entire existing club committee, the president, the vice president, and all the committee members, okay, have siphoned money from the club. It's a club that we have poured our own money into. So it's a lovely conspiracy theory. Good luck to them. If they can, and you know, all I do is laugh about things like this. But this was the shocker, which came about earlier this year. No, late last year. Earlier this year. So this is something I love hearing, okay, because these idiots don't realize the amount of time and money and personal effort that this committee and its entire, led by a very, very efficient president, Ajit Thomas, a very big industrialist himself. We've all put our own money and time into this, and so I'm just loving this controversy, to be honest. Okay, but it's not going to go anywhere because we know what we've done, and they think they know what they've done or what we've done, but it's another. It is what it is.
There we go. All right, just to conclude now, Vicky, you've said this before, but a kind of a summary. Where do you see Vicky Chandhok in the next 3 to 5 years?
Hopefully retired fully. But okay, having said that, where would I like to see myself? I would really like to see myself at the helm of my home front more than anything else. But in terms of motorsport, I'd like to see myself more and more at the MMSC. Only in terms of a supervisory role, not an active role anymore. Okay, not as an organizer, but purely as an advisor, as somebody. What's the word? What's the word you would say? A go-to person.
Okay.
Okay, like a go-to person. Similarly, also at the federation level. Okay, and I've had enough experience in the sport. I've probably been an active member of motorsport for the longest period of time now. It's about 55 years of me being actively involved in the sport. So I don't want to be a professional. I don't want to be a consultant, but I see myself in the role of coming up with ideas, coming up with one make fairness in hardware that's common to everybody.
A mentoring role.
A mentoring role, that's the word.
Okay.
Okay, a mentoring role to the sport and MMSC in particular.
Okay. What is the one message that you would want to give to youngsters to take up motorsport in India?
Be prepared. Be really prepared not to give up schooling. Okay? Get into some seat time with karts, with 4-stroke cars before you start going the 2-stroke routes and spending multiple lakhs of money. Come and do it. And if you think it's fun, take it up as a profession. If you're not enjoying it, drop it. Drop it. And you'll know that the first day you do it. Let the youngsters come, get in to a kart. They'll know whether they like it or they dislike it. And be honest with yourself. If you don't like it, say you don't like it.
Be honest with yourself.
Be honest with yourself is the most important message for the youngsters. Don't do it for the other's sake, for others' sake. Don't do it as peer pressure. Don't do it because it's a glamorous sport. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Just be honest with yourself. Can you do this? Otherwise, do something else.
So where is the sport in general heading? And where do you think it should be heading in India?
Rallying should go the 4-wheel drive route. Okay, we need world-class cars. I'm tired of seeing these out-of-production cars running.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Says the Rallycom chairman.
Exactly. Okay. I've just been brought in. Okay.
I know.
So wait for a change. But I'm really tired of seeing the age-old cars. Nothing wrong with them, but they're out of production, right? You take, what are your cars rallying today? You're rallying some VW Polos. You're rallying some Honda Cities.
Yeah. The Balenos.
The Balenos.
Esteems.
Esteems, Gypsies.
Yeah.
Tell me one of these cars that's produced today. The Baleno is, other than that, which is the car that's being made? None. There you go. So what are we racing? Vintage cars? Or classics? I mean, come on. Let's get real. Let's open up. Why are we fearing? Why are we protecting Indian manufacturers? Open it up to world-class cars. Open it up to 4-wheel drive cars. Right, you'll get 2 or 3 cars initially, but once we come in, let's get some competition. Because unless we want to offer the world a platform that they can compete on, let's get out of our shell.
Comfort zones. And
like my late friend used to call the yelly box, the rat trap. Let's get out of our, Curry used to always say it, let's get out of our yelly box. So there we go.
Okay.
In terms of racing, all the rungs of the ladder are there. And I don't think India can afford anything more than the F4 that it's got today. Okay. In terms of saloon cars, we need the one make series. We need more and more like the Ignis has now come in, the Etios was there, the VW Polo was there. We need more of those kind of manufacturer backed ones. Unfortunately, none of the manufacturers are backing these. We need the manufacturers backing the one make classes, because for a manufacturer to hand out 50 cars is nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, they are not looking at it strongly, and we are also not offering them a strong enough platform. There's something lacking between our communication as promoters, organizers, administrators, and the manufacturers. We have to do a frank SWOT analysis and stop kidding ourselves. Okay. I think it's high time we did this. Do a proper SWOT analysis. What is lacking? Why aren't manufacturers coming to us as administrators of the sport? There has to be something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's identify it and let's deal with it. So I think it's very important that we get that done.
Okay.
Good point. I think I'll trigger this very shortly. This is what you'll leave me with after this podcast, is to get an analysis done as to why people are not entering the sport as manufacturers.
That sounds good.
So,
so on that note, Vicky, it was wonderful spending the time with you. Thank you so much.
Well, my pleasure, and to the entire team, my first podcast. So let's hope it goes down well. Let's hope for many more in the future.
On behalf of Talk Room from Tonic,
Right.
a small memento from our side.
I love the name, Tonic. Thank you. Thanks everybody.
And the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.